Hello and welcome back to Wonderland Asylum. We're back now with issue 29 of the Hachette Partworks release of Titanic, the ship, the legend. Okay, so what's in the magazine? International comics and into the future. So it's illustrations about the Titanic. These cartoons are from the 1950s by the French cartoonist Maurice Damois. Yeah, it was a source of inspiration for many cartoonists. There we go, another cartoon, and I do believe yet another cartoon. How accurate they were, who knows? And then again, Titanic into the future. Of course, Kylie Minogue and David Tennant, seen from Voyage of the Damned, which was in Doctor Who. And then we're on to the instructions already, so I do get the impression there's quite a lot to do in this one. But before we get started, what's in the box? So, what is in today's box? At risk of sounding like Brad Pitt in Seven, what's in the box? Sorry. So let's get it open. Again, using everything but the right tool for the job. So inside we have mounting brackets, we have the little flywheel that gets turned by the motor, we have again more mounting brackets, we have the cylinder heads which go on the top of the cylinders, we have a pack of CM screws, and in here I do believe we have the crankshaft itself, as well as the connector that pushes it into the side of the block. So, what do we need first? Well, the first thing we need is the crankshaft, which is this piece here. So I'll move these off to the side, and I'll move this off to the side. And the first thing we need is to find the end with the attachment for the pulley. So that's this end here. You can see it has the kind of nub for the pulley to sit on. It faces this way with the shaft sitting like that. I'm being very, very picky because I put some bits on wrong last time and it caused problems. It did cause problems. Now you can see they're all in different positions. Just make sure the orientation is correct. Then bring these over. Now these all hook in with the grabs pointing upwards, if that makes sense. So I will do them all on camera because there are only 4 of them. So this one here goes into the first slot, and again with the grab facing upwards. The second one goes into the third slot, again grab upwards. The third one goes into the third slot from this end, just here, and then the final one goes into the end slot like that. So they should all be sitting like this. Fantastic. Okay, now so we're taking the part we worked on in issue 28, which I believe is this one. Yes, it is. And we're going to lie these inside those troughs. Now, if I remember correctly, this wasn't a lot of fun. So I'm going to pull that down so you can actually see what I'm doing. And all we're doing is pushing lying these inside the troughs on the appropriate cylinder. Now, if I remember correctly, it's not a lot of fun to make sure they stay there while you're putting the left side of the engine blocks on. So I'm going to turn this so it's sitting kind of more neutrally, so there's fewer of them are sitting really high or really low, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to line this up and push the two engine sides together, just like that. Now that should hold all these pieces in. And again, that nub should be over that side. Fantastic. Everything looks right to me so far. But we're not screwing anything in just yet. As far as I can see, no, it says all we're doing is pushing it together. Okie dokie. And then what we need to do is get these parts out. So I'll get them all out and I'll line them up with where they're supposed to go. I'll be back in just 2 seconds. Okay, so these are where these cylinder heads are going. So first and foremost, I'm just going to make sure these are all pushed in, and they are. So they will only go in the correct way, because as you can see there's one big pin and one small one. So make sure you line them up correctly and push them in. It is a push fit and it is a tight one, so you're okay. And then again, lining up the distributor cover there. At least I don't know if that's what it actually is, but that's what they're calling it in this, so I'm going to assume they're correct. Again, same idea. Line up the big and small hole, because it will only go in the one way. The smallest of the cylinder heads goes in this cylinder here, and it doesn't matter which way round it goes, because it's the same both ways. Just as long as it goes down into the hole and clips in. Then again, big peg and big hole. That's the thing, is this model is, I do love the detail, but it's far more Lego than Bismarck was, especially the engine sections. Oofed. So that is all the cylinder heads and the valve distributors now in place. So I'll lie that piece down, and next we need this piece, which is our, what are they calling it? Just shaft. Okie dokie. And lie it down. You can see there is a nub and it's closer to the bottom on one side, and there's an extrusion at the top on the other. We're wanting to lie it like that, with the extrusion pointing upwards. And then basically what we're doing is taking these 4 connectors and pushing the small grab on each side down onto, you can see there are kind of cut out sections to accept them. So the grabs go on there. Again, making sure you're putting them the right way round, because if you don't, it won't work and you're gonna have a sad day. I did it last time, I believe, with engine number 1. I had to go back and fix it. So if you're at this point, please don't go back and watch the original one, because you'll see me making a mistake and you'll get to laugh at me. I don't like being laughed at. Okay, so the next stage Yeah, and it is, just check it's this side. Yes it is, okay. So the next stage involves us attaching this to the crankshaft. And basically what we're doing is every... I'm going to move my camera just slightly. Every hole which does not currently have something attached to it is going to get one of these attached to it. But this needs to be turned round the other way, so that these grabs are facing upwards and they'll clip on, because then what will happen is these 4 points here will go into those 4 holes. So this isn't the easiest part of the build by any stretch of the imagination, but feel free to manipulate the crankshaft in any way you have to make it easier for yourself. They should all line up reasonably easily. You just may have to adjust the way they're sitting slightly to get them in. I'm trying not to move bits about too much because I'm very, very aware that none of this is secured together by anything other than some push-to-fit plastic pieces. But there we go. That's them all clipped on, and now in essence what we're doing is swinging this up the way and pushing these 4 pins into the 4 holes on the side, just like that, and your crankshaft should sit just nicely. I'm not going to tempt fate and try to turn it just yet, but not to worry, because that is the next stage. So I'm just going to get which bit is which, get them all sitting ready, and we will begin the final assembly of engine number 2. Okay, so what we're doing now is turning these upside down, and on each side we're going to be putting these sections. Now they are slightly different. Basically the holes are closer together on one than they are on the other, so it will only fit in one spot. So just make sure you put it on the right side, and the crankshaft should line up and sit in it quite nicely. If it doesn't, I hate to tell you something's wrong. And then this one goes on this side, just like that. Make sure they slide all the way down, and as I say, the crankshaft should fit in just nicely like that. Because if it doesn't, then something isn't fitting properly and you have an issue. Okay. So the next thing, just make sure we've got these the right way around, and we do. Excellent. So the next thing we're going to be doing is attaching these. So I'll get my CP screws out and I'll be back in just a sec. Okay. So putting this side on first, as you can see there's a block at the end, so it will only fit on one way. Slide it over the pins there. It should sit in quite nicely. Get one of the CP screws. This is awkward as absolute heck, but still screw it in, just like that. And then sitting it down gently and trying to make sure it doesn't fall over. Put the next one in, just on the other side. And then just tighten these up as much as is humanly possible without snapping or breaking anything. Which is the major issue with this particular section of the build, is because you've now got a very, very fragile section in your crankshaft with all these little spindles, and you're having to put a lot of pressure in to tighten these screws up. But that seems to be reasonably tight on both sides. Right, there we go. That's better, far better. Okie dokie, and now, this bit I'm about to do now. This is what has caused a lot of people a lot of problems when it comes to fitting. Some people have test fitted engine number 1 into the floor, as I have, and they've come up against a problem. Now the reason for that problem is, on this end here, in issue 3, or whenever it was you fitted this last time, it tells you to put this piece on with the beveled side facing in the way. Like that. That's how it's printed in the magazine. Now that looks alright because you can see that bit there and you think, oh, that's for that to turn. But if you put it on that way, this pulley isn't going to be able to go far enough in for the engine to fit. So it needs to go with the beveled side pointing outwards. And I hate to tell you, if you followed the instructions when you built the first engine, you're taking your engine to bits to fix it, because that's what I had to do. I think I mentioned that at the end of the last issue. In fact, I did. Because yeah, I did try to fit it to the engine room floor and couldn't understand why it wasn't working, because I had done everything as per the instructions. I even went back, got issue 3 out, or whatever issue it was out, and checked, and thought, I can't understand why this isn't working. But that is why. Because it's printed incorrectly. So yep, sorry to ruin anyone's day who hasn't done this bit yet, but has already built their first engine. You're taking your bottom section off to fix this bit. Not too difficult, just a bit annoying since you've already fitted all these small fiddly pieces that you're having to go back and do that, but you know, it's modelling, it happens. Okay, so that's that all in. Just give it the wiggle test, make sure there's no wiggly jiggly bits, because you don't want any of your bits to be wiggly or particularly jiggly. There we go, nice. And the final piece is to slide the pulley on. I didn't put any glue on it last time, and I'm not going to put any glue on it this time either. Just slide it on, because it is a D-fitting, so it will only go in one way. And there we go. That is that all put together. And believe it or not, that is us for issue 29. Issue 30 we actually get to finish it, but should I test it to see if it turns? No. No, I'm not going to test it, I'm not going to tempt fate. Fantastic! So that is us for issue 29. What's in issue 30? The bottom pieces. And that's it. Nothing particularly exciting or special, but yeah, that's what's coming in issue 30. We'll be finishing off the second engine. Now, you know, I'm one to tempt fate, so should I see if this turns? Yeah, it does. Awesome. A lot more smoothly than the first one does, I might add. So yep, you can see all the wee pistons going around. Magnificent. It'll be really nice to finish that in the next issue. So yeah, thank you for joining me for issue 29 of Build the Titanic. As I say, issue 28 and 29 will go out tomorrow, and I'll see about getting 30 and 31 filmed for Sunday, but I'm not sure. It might not. We'll have to wait and see how things go, because I do have other things on tomorrow. But again, if you like what you're seeing, please drop me a like. If not, please give me a comment and tell me what I could do better. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the channel. Any comments, criticisms, put them below, and I'll hopefully see you for the rest. But thanks again for watching, and as always guys, peace out.